Good, everybody. Ace of all trades here with the game Illuminaughty, and we're back from CES 2019. Well, JG is back. Technically, it doesn't matter for me because I'm from Las Vegas. I live here, but we're here to discuss some of our thoughts about CES 2019. This is my third year going. This is JG's first year going. So I'm gonna go ahead and give the floor to JG. I'm gonna let him say his first impressions and what he thought about it, and we'll go from there. What'd you think, JG?
Yeah, so first of all, when I got off the plane, I was scared for my life. I had to make sure that I checked in with big homie Ace here. Other than that, I wouldn't be able to walk around. So it was really, really bad. No, I was just playing. CES was very, very overwhelming. I was looking at the initial things on like where everything was before I even saw like the layout of CES. I just thought that it was just going to be in one convention center. This thing is not only in 2 convention centers, it takes over like 3 or 4 different hotels. People have suites all over the place. Like it's really crazy. So like I fully understand why this is the the biggest tech convention in America and possibly the world, just for tech, because I don't want anybody correcting me, but for tech, it is. So we actually got in there and we had to like maneuver around and stuff. There's a ton of people there, but I will say this, compared to previous years, because again I wasn't able to go there personally, but after seeing CES compared to like what you see on TV and all the new stuff, I feel like this year was kind of tame. And I don't know about you, Ace, but I felt like they didn't really show like too many things that I'm like, wow, like will we have this in so and so years? Like generally like the cars that you see, like all the expensive cars, all the crazy concept cars, they didn't really have that much of that this year. This year was again more about the 8K televisions and the self-driving shuttles. We saw a lot of that on the show floor, and that was like some of the main things that like a lot of these companies were just trying to push. And so I felt like, me personally, I feel like I got shafted a little bit, but that just may be the climate that we're going right now with technology. It was just a lot of 8K TVs, self-driving shuttles, and like 3D printing and like other like random stuff. Like they had like robots and stuff, like the robots that'll serve you dinner and stuff. So they had like stuff like that, which like you see in like movies and like anime and cartoons and stuff. So like even seeing it in person, I was like kind of like not like, oh my god, wow, that's so amazing. It was just like, oh, like that's cool, but I don't ever see myself like actually having a freaking robot butler in my crib. Like that stuff is still like so far out that I'm just like whatever to that. But that's just my overall feeling. It was just like so big. It was a lot of stuff there, but then again, I feel like it was still kind of on the tame side compared to like the previous years and what I've seen like on videos and on TV and stuff.
Right. No, I that's definitely completely understandable. It's definitely coming from, for your first time experience, it can definitely be overwhelming. Of course, because on TV, I mean, they control what they show you, and they show you bits and pieces of it. Even when you see these interviews and everything like that, they try to show you guys and show all of us what's the hot thing. It doesn't necessarily go through everything. And that's the one thing I really do enjoy about CES, is because it doesn't matter how big your company or how small your company, literally if you can afford the space to be able to get there, you'll be there. And of course some people's lots are bigger than others, and we saw a lot of the companies that you may not necessarily have heard of that are all over, especially a lot of international companies that we wouldn't necessarily hear about here in the States. But it gives everybody the opportunity, and I always thought that was really, really cool. And I agree with you. I do think that this year that I didn't see necessarily the hot factor. I definitely did see a lot of technology that is currently out now, like the phones from LG. I mean, oh my god, that one phone we looked at in the LG department with the OLED display. Oh yeah, man. And I was doing a comparison to the iPhone XX Max camera and the LG phone, and oh my god, like if I was gonna get a Droid, I might get that phone next. And it's out currently right now. LG's always been doing cool things, and they even had this cool display, which you'll see in the CES B-roll footage of. They took a whole bunch of OLED displays and they curved them, and they did like this whole scenic like movie, which is really, really, really dope. And they took a lot of huge space for it, and it's really cool. But I'm gonna be real with you, I truly feel like CES is not necessarily for the consumer. And when I say the consumer, I mean somebody like you and I, JG. I feel like CES is more for businesses that have the money and that have the funds that are ready to put their restaurants, their hotels, business offices with the new technology that's currently out now. Now, we may not necessarily be the ones that want to get these 8K displays, but somebody that has a lot of money, or businesses that want to keep that that narrative that they have the best technology, that everything that they have within their office is clean, might see that and be like, oh, I want this 8K display. I think this looks great. This would be perfect in the office. Or let's get 5 8K displays into our conference room. Something along those lines. So, and the self-serving robots, that's definitely for businesses. Like there's like and you'll see this in the CES footage too, that there's like a line of robots moving pieces and parts and everything along those lines, serving you food. I feel like that's more for a business than your typical house home. Your average American or your average person, even throughout the world, is not gonna have a robot bringing you hors d'oeuvres the moment that you walk into the door. But at the same time, it's really cool. It's a great experience. And now I think you especially get firsthand when I tried to tell y'all 2 years ago, it's a lot. Imagine doing that one thing by yourself. The fact that we had two people and we started at 8:30 in the morning, y'all, and we were only about 35-40% done walking the floor at the end of the convention day one, which was around like 6 o'clock or so, and that's even including after business meetings and eating and everything like that. We barely even got through everything, and the amount of people there are. Now, I will throw it out there, and when we went to the 3D printing area, it wasn't that bad, like at all.
That third and fourth floor, it was like damn near dead compared to everything else.
Right, exactly. But what I wanted to talk about also, I mean, we can get to pros and the cons, but also I wanted to talk about more what our viewers and listeners will want to listen to when it comes to stuff that we saw. Now, in the South Hall, that was for us. That was for more people that are really into gaming. Or not even just gaming chairs or anything like that, but just cool technology. Now, there was this one company that we saw that was really dope, and I actually have their media kit right now, is Hyper VSN. They had these fans, you guys, that showed these cool 3D displays would look so dope, and me and JG were like, yo, how are they doing that? And at first we didn't know they were fans, but then once you get closer you can actually see them, and they look pretty dope, and we had the opportunity to talk to somebody about them. JG, what were your thoughts about them?
Yeah, just imagine like Cyberpunk or some movie that you've seen that's like 30-40 years in the future. Think about like when they pan in these cities and you see like all these crazy like 3D displays that are around you. That's what it reminded me of. So like they've actually like perfected their technology, it looks like. Obviously it wasn't to like the biggest scale, like they had like just very small displays, and again, once Ace mentioned that they were fans, we were like, oh, okay, so like it's really small, but they were still like, they had a whole bunch of fans coming together to make like one big display. And so we were looking at that and we were like, oh, that's dope. And then like the dude was talking about how they do, and you can like have pretty much like any image that you want, you can upload it, and then it can actually like turn into a full-fledged display. So Ace, I know that you already started thinking about like, you know, what you can do if you had that in your crib, in your setup or whatever. So I think that that's something like that I would actually want myself to like be in the background. Like that's something that I thought was dope. And seeing is believing. Like when you see it in person, you like, dang, like this looks really good. So yeah. I think that was like one of the most exciting things that I did see on the show floor.
Oh yeah, it was that was so dope. The only reason why, and like I said before, it's Hyper VSN. I'll leave a link to their stuff down in the description box below, just so you guys can check it out, since we don't have the footage for it. But the only reason why, when I talked to one of the representatives from there, that they wouldn't say it's the best right now for streamers, is because it is a fan, and they have to make, since we stream at typically 60 FPS, when you look at it, if you record it, you're gonna see the fan, you're gonna see the kind of the black lines from the fan itself when you record it, but when you are watching it just eye to eye in person, you're just gonna see the 3D image. So until they can get the fan to go faster while still keeping the sound to a minimal because you didn't hear it at all, really, at all.
Yeah, you didn't. Yeah,
and once they get that sound down and it goes faster, then that's a possibility. You can literally put it on the wall behind you. The way I was thinking it was, how dope would that be if because you can program it to show any display. Oh, you guys can see it right there. You guys are looking at an example from one of the other companies right there. Imagine having a GI logo sit right there in the back, and it's just moving around and everything like that. Of course, you can add a source in OBS or something like that, but when somebody sees that in your crib or in your game room or your office, that's dope. Like, I thought that was really, really cool. Also, I gotta shout them out, man. Me and JG, man, we went over to Thermal Take. Oh my god, y'all, the builds, y'all, that we saw with Thermal Take, bro, and the water cooling. Oh my god, what'd you think, JG, man? Tell them about Thermal Take, bro.
I mean, I've always been the type that loved specific, like, just custom PC builds, but I think that what Thermal Take has been doing, and I've known about them for a while, I thought that they were always like one of the best when it comes to the custom PC builds. But what we saw there, like, it made me legit like super jealous. I just wanted to take one of those builds home. We met a dude, I believe his name was Anthony. He was very enthusiastic about it.
Passionate.
He said that he built like the majority of the builds that they had there, and he talked about like how much time that it took, and he was very, very, like he said, passionate about it. And when we saw like what he did and like how much time and dedication that it took just to make those crazy PC builds, man, like it really, really just made me want to get one of those and bring them home. I didn't necessarily have the same passion as him when it comes to like building one myself, especially with all the water cooling and tubing and stuff. But just to see like the things that they could come up with and the custom builds that they can make, just like all those ideas coming in your head, like, oh well, let me do it like this, let me do it like this, let me put the graphics card like this, let me put the radiator here, let me put a bracket here. Like, it's amazing, right? It's really amazing. Then like the color schemes, RGB is like full-fledged now. I know the RGB was kind of like a gimmick back then, but they've even perfected that. A lot of these
it's so clean.
Thermal Take, oh my god, I think that as far as all the PC companies that we saw, I think that Thermal Take probably had hands down the best like custom PC builds that I saw there.
Right. And speaking of custom builds, so Thermal Take was definitely dope for sure. Origin had this cool cube, and it was in prototype that we had an opportunity to take a look at, and shout out to Kevin. And it was so dope, man. What did you think of that? What did you think of that, JG? Like the cube, and then also that panel that they can print off any type of screenshot. Yeah. That was really, really clean for Origin.
Yeah, Origin is also thinking outside of the box when it comes to like getting a PC that's for you. It's not anything like you can get the same parts as somebody else, but you can have a totally unique build that's for you. I like the cube, and like I was telling Kevin and the other guys there, I've always been a fan of like the smaller builds, the ITX type of builds. So I like the cube. Like the cube, and they said it themselves, the cube is for like an eye candy type of thing. Like it's something for you to like marvel at and look at. So that would be something that like you don't put under your desk, you will put on top of your desk for people to just look at and be like, oh man, like that's a really cool PC. And then the whole panel thing that you can literally get like any picture, any screenshot that you want, literally etched on whatever you want, even on laptops, because he had a lot of those pictures and personal images for your laptop cover. So I thought that was dope. But again, like the dopest thing that I saw there as far as like the customization was what they did with the Origin Vice, and the fact that they had like the images, they had the images and the actual labels on the actual glass panel, but it wasn't covering the whole thing, so you could still see inside of the PC, but it just had like all the custom things on there. So I was just thinking about like all GI stuff and all of the unique stuff that we could put on there. So I thought that was super dope too. You typically don't see those type of things, but they say that they perfected that technology as well. So I thought that was super dope.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we're gonna talk about keyboards too, but we cannot go without talking about Corsair, y'all. They had some cool builds themselves, but there's one build in particular that I need to bring up, and I know JG knows the one I'm talking about, the Corsair One Pro. Now, yes, there is another iteration of that out, which they've already released, that's out for the public, but the new version of that one, let me just tell you guys the specs. I got it right here in front of me. It's an Intel Core i9 9920X CPU, an NVIDIA RTX 2080 Ti, 32 gigs of RAM, 960 gigs a solid state drive, and a 2 terabyte drive for a whopping price of $4,999. But y'all, when I tell you that PC is so smooth, but it's also so compact, this PC would be for somebody that is on the go but needs that power. And when if y'all see the size of that PC, y'all, and it's so small. And the thing is, I think it's really, really cool, even though yes, that is a very expensive PC, but the fact is you literally have everything that you need and it's very compact. Corsair has a service that you can actually, hey, I want to upgrade to the latest card. You send that in, they replace it out for you, and they send it back to you. Now, I wouldn't recommend changing anything inside of that, because the fact is, it's so compact that literally there's no slack for any wires or anything like that. And yes, I understand some of our viewers and listeners, you guys are very heavy into building PCs and you guys have had the experience. But coming from another person, I won't consider myself a professional builder. I'm not. I'm somebody that can definitely do it and hold my own. Y'all, I don't think y'all would want this. That would be a problem. Also, I gotta note, unfortunately for you streamers, all of us, I don't think that it wouldn't be the best for us, because you would have to actually use the external Elgato card instead of the internal one, because there's no slot for it. But JG, what'd you think of Corsair and what they have bringing into CES this year?
Yeah, the Corsair One, which you mentioned before, it looks like, I would say, like a generator core. Like, it looks like something that you would like just take out and like it's just steaming hot, like in a video game or something. Like that's exactly what the design was. I was just more impressed that they had like some of the latest technology, like some of the most powerful technology in such a small build. When you see little builds like that, little ITX builds, and this isn't even like a standard ITX build, this is even smaller than that. When you see builds like that, you typically don't think about having like the most powerful technology in there. Well, Corsair was like, forget it. Like, let's just make these different tiers. Yeah, and whatever the top tier is, we're going to put the best stuff in there and we're going to make it work. And I thought that was super dope. Like, that's definitely apparently, like, obviously he said it was $4,000, so that's not for everybody. I know everybody ain't got $4,000. I ain't even got $4,000 to spend on it. But if you have the money and you just like forget it, like, I just need something that's small and compact. I don't really plan on upgrading anytime soon. I'm not necessarily a streamer. I just want a game with the best stuff I can. Then that thing will be for you. So, oh man, like I was very impressed. When he told me like the different builds and what was actually in there, because I was expecting some little boy stuff. Nah, I'm like, bro, yo, you got, yeah, I was like, you got all these builds over here. You got the full, the mid towers. You got the full towers with the water cooling, and then you show us the Corsair One. I was like, at first I was like, I don't want to look at that. And then he showed me showed me the specs. I was like, oh boy, yeah, like my eyes lit up. I was like, man. So yeah, Corsair. Again, like a lot of companies are doing this, but I think the Corsair right now, as far as what we saw at CES, that's probably like one of the smallest but most powerful builds I've ever seen.
Yeah, man, that build packs a punch, and it's definitely for a higher price. But if, like JG said, if you're somebody that has the means and you're just looking for something for the latest technology and everything to move forward, and you want to look into possibly upgrading much later on down the road, because right now that would be quote unquote future proof. Oh yeah, absolutely. That PC is for you. It's beefy for sure. But all right. So speaking of Corsair, JG continues to get on us in the game Illuminaughty when it comes to our loud ass keyboards, especially Ethos. And clickety clack, clickety clack, clickety clack, click. And
you heard it,
right? So Corsair had this K70 RGB MK2LP keyboard, and it was for speed, but which is really dope, but it's low profiled, and it has RGB, all of that. And bro, when I tell y'all, when I touched those keys, it was so clean. I was just, and I didn't even hear anything. And usually, I'm not gonna lie, you can't just blame Ethos. I'm another one too that like my loud switches. I do. I'm sorry. I'm annoying. I know. But I think they're dope. But when I saw that keyboard, that might be my next keyboard. I don't know, Corsair. That keyboard was clean. What'd you think of it, JG?
Yeah, so like I was mentioning to Justin, shout out to Justin for Corsair. He got the same name, so you already know.
Yeah, shout out to Justin.
I was mentioning to him and told him that Corsair was one of my very first mechanical keyboards, and I still have it to this day. But yeah, when I saw it, I had the K70 Vengeance, and I had cherry switches, and I was like, I don't know about cherry switches. I wasn't necessarily against getting blue switches, but when I saw this one, I was like, okay, that has everything for me. It wasn't full RGB at the time, it only had red backlit keys, but I was like, okay, it's cool, and it worked for me. Like I used it for a while until I got this Logitech keyboard, which I ended up getting as a gift. So I ended up using that one, and I was like, I'm a fan of the cherry switches. I'm a fan of the brown switches as well. Because it gives you like the best of both worlds. It's not loud like the blue keys, but it still gives you that tactile feedback. And again, a lot of people don't do their research. They just go and get anything that has blue switches with them, and then you'll get the people who are complaining, like me, for the people who, oh my god, I want tactile feedback. Well, why do you want to annoy people with those sounds? Okay, just get freaking brown switches or get cherry switches, and you'll get the best of both worlds. You'll get that tactile feedback. But the specific thing about that keyboard, what they did to revamp it, is they switched the keys, like the actual keys, are like contoured a different way, and it kind of reminds me of like a typewriter almost. It kind of reminds me of a typewriter because the keys, they're contoured in a specific way, and they kind of raise up a little bit more. But again, when you press it, like I'm telling you, gotta like try it for yourself, because Ace tried it, now he's a believer.
Oh yeah.
When you press it yourself, it feels so good. Like it really feels good. So like I said, I might want to go back to Corsair and get that one myself. I ain't even go for it.
Yeah, it's
plus
nice.
It's full RGB now too. So and then I like they also did like some little changes with the multimedia keys as well, and that's why I ended up going towards Corsair in the first place, because I like the rolling dial whenever you're making your music louder or softer, and then I like the multimedia keys, how they move that as well. So I like Corsair, man. I definitely like their external accessories as well.
Yeah, they definitely brought some fire for CES 2019 for sure. They had some really cool builds. Another thing, and shout out to Justin once again, another thing that I noticed that they're everybody's trying to do, but we can't go without shouting out the sponsor, Razi. You already know, check out 10% off GI, use the code Razi. Now I'm noticing a lot of companies outside of Razi, because they already have the gaming desk, they have all of that. I'm seeing more companies now have these all-in-one desks. They are literally trying to keep you from going to any other company to get desks, from Arazi, from Origin, from Thermotake. Thermotake had a RGB desk, y'all. RGB desk, RGB water coolers, everything. I mean everything. These companies nowadays are trying to keep you within their area, their realm, and I think that's really, really dope, and I'm not gonna knock them for it. And I think I believe it was Anthony from Thermotake that we were talking about, how he was saying originally a lot of people didn't like RGBs back in the day, and they were played out, people didn't like them. Now people love them. Like people want these RGB lights in their computer. People want to show them off. People will put in their computer nowadays in their living room as a display because it's so dope and everything like that, with the water cooling and everything. And I mean, as long as they're using them, I can't blame them. I will say though, I definitely do think it was dope. And like the South Hall is where JG and I spent most of our time throughout CES, because I mean it catered more to you guys, the listeners, the viewers, supporters, all of that. But also because a lot of the other things is, don't get me wrong, I'm all for technology and enhancing everybody's ability to take care of their children, movie theaters, and all that type of things. But it wasn't necessarily for us and for you guys. So we wanted to make sure that we bring you guys the experiences that we saw and that we got to go through. I mean, Intel was there with pretty cool things. It seems like they're still pushing for VR, which, if you're into virtual reality, then hey, that's all for you. That's there. I mean, there's definitely a market for it, because a lot of these I would say adult gaming areas, like a Dave and Buster's or something like that, that's not necessarily just for kids but for also adults too, because they serve adult beverages. Those VRs would be perfect. Now they just gotta making sure to worry about them cleaning it off and all of that. But we wanted to definitely cater to you guys and make sure we give you guys the best experiences when it comes to our experiences at CES. JG, before we go any further about our experiences, Do you have anything negative about the convention that you noticed that for your first time?
Yep. And I mentioned it before. Well, not for the actual conference. It was just the theme of CES 2019. The AKTVs, bro. I was tired of them. Literally every company had them, and they, you know, the funny thing, they actually like tried to show side by sides 4K compared to 8K. You can't see a difference, bro. I'm not playing. You cannot see a difference. This is almost as worse as when they were trying to push those 3D TVs. Do you see a 3D TV anymore? No, because nobody bought them and they were a gimmick. 8K, we are not ready for that yet. It's almost like it's just a joke. It's a joke right now. 4K, it's fine. Like I said, right now, the only thing I watch in 4K is Netflix, because regular TV isn't even in 4K yet for everything. Once TV gets into 4K, then it's fine. Then 4K will be like the actual thing. But the only thing you're really doing is, you know, playing some games in 4K and you're watching Netflix at 4K. That's it. So why the hell would anybody need 8K right now? It was really disgusting how many companies were just showing 8K this, 8K that, and we're trying to show us a difference, and I couldn't tell a difference at all. Like, some things popped out, but again, if you showed the 4K TVs right next to it, you couldn't tell a difference. In some instances, the 4K images looked better than the 8K images. So I just didn't like how they were just trying to like push that upon us. I understand why, because you're trying, you know, push everything in the future. You're trying to show us that, you know, hey, this is coming up in so and so years, but it was just a gimmick, and I was just tired of looking at it from all the companies.
Right. No, I completely understand, and I definitely do agree that we don't even have content for 8K. We still are trying to get content for 4K, and even get 4K TVs into the normal consumers' households. But then you were pushing 8K. I mean, cool, it looks nice, but what content is going to do that? And please tell me, what streamer is going to be streaming at 8K like that? We have any streamers trying to go fully at 1080p right now. A lot of people are still doing 720, 60.
We don't even have the bandwidth for that.
Right. Like, at least not in the States. Maybe overseas.
Yeah.
This is not gonna happen. That'll probably be my one negative thing. I don't think that I don't think there was anything else from when it comes to negativity for CES. I mean, it's a convention. It's a lot of people. It's to be expected. Oh yeah, never mind. I lied. One more negative thing, but this is just for CES. This is just in general. Please know how to cover your mouths when you're sneezing, you're coughing. Oh my god! And when JG says something too, it made me even more nervous because I know exactly what he means. When y'all ever walking around a area with a bunch of people and then you just hear somebody sneeze, and then you hear somebody else sneeze right after it, and then you turn around and you see someone else sneeze, and then you see them not even cover their self, not even with your hands. When you're sneezing, y'all, like, do inside of your arm. So at least if you don't sneeze in your hands. I'm not gonna shake somebody's inside of their arm. I'm gonna shake their hand. If you're sneezing in your hands and then you're gonna try to shake my hand, I'm not gonna do it. That's wild. Personal hygiene, y'all. Please take care of yourselves. And if it don't apply, let it fly.
You sick or no?
I'm good for right now.
Yeah, right now I survived. I'm good, and I actually forgot my surgical mask. And I seen people walking around with them. It's always some people walking around with surgical masks, and I always used to think that they look funny. But then again, like when I kept getting sick, I was like, I know it's not from me. I was like, it got to be from these other people. And so I learned, like, anytime I travel, besides this time when I forgot, I'm walking around with my mask because I'm not playing with these people. And I got extremely paranoid seeing all the people, even in the media room, walking around and coughing and sneezing. It's just like I be like looking around, you just hearing everybody doing it, and it definitely gets you paranoid. I'm not trying to get sick again for somebody else, especially a stranger.
Yeah. Yo, and speaking of cool things that we saw, I'm looking through my phone and my notes right now. Yamaha came out with this prototype. I swear to God, it looked like a transformer, but it pretty much is it's two wheels in the front and then one in the back. I guess is more for preventive motorcycle from you falling off, I guess, in a way. And I don't have the name for it, and I apologize, y'all, but it legit looks like a transformer, bruh. And Yamaha was bringing some heat. Like, don't get me wrong, there was a lot of when it comes to CES, car companies were there, y'all. Absolutely. They wanted to show off the latest technologies that are going to be implemented into their cars later on in the year and in the future. Some things are prototypes, some things are going to be out now, some things are just to get more public eye, get funded and all that. But you had all of your companies there for sure when it comes to cars and everything like that. So if you're into that type of stuff when it comes to technologies within cars, then CES is definitely for you. But overall, I think it was a good experience for GI. I think I'm glad that JG was able to take some time out of his busy schedule to fly up to Vegas for a few days and be able to experience CES themselves. Of course, Game Illuminaughty will continue to have a presence at CES for next year's and years to come, as much as they would like to have us there, of course. And you know, I think we had some great opportunities there, and I hope that a lot of the networking that we did will be able to transpire to something else, so we can be able to experience that with you guys, the viewers and listeners. So JG, you got anything else for everybody before we go in the video?
No, not really, man. You pretty much said everything. I just hope that all of the networking that we've done ends up being, you know, fruitful relationships, and you know, whoever we end up with, decide to do business with, I hope that not only GI but the viewers get to reap all the benefits from it. So, like I said, you know, we do this stuff for y'all. Like, we're not doing it just for us. We do this for y'all as well. We want to be able to properly inform you all on everything that's going on. So like I said, if you see us with you know, working with any of these PC companies that we mentioned before, then just know we are giving our, you know, our genuine thoughts about it, and we back them. So like I said, you know, all these companies, we actually like their products, and you know, if we do decide to work with them, then just know that it's genuine.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And just let me take the time to thank all these sponsors that gave us a chance as Game Illuminaughty and everything like that. We much appreciate you guys. You guys are great, and we want to continue to bring the message that you guys, for your guys' individual companies and what we have at Game Illuminaughty, and continue to move forward from there. And speaking of sponsors, I gotta say this before we leave. And once again, shout out to Arazi, y'all. Arazi really showed y'all your boys love, and it was so dope being able to meet some of the individuals that we've talked to via email, or gone back and forth on social media, them coming to our streams and everything like that. You already know we messing with Arazi, and we're really glad, and it feels good knowing that they appreciate the work that we do for them, and being able to spread the message to you guys, the listeners and viewers. So shout out to Arazi. Appreciate everybody. This has been Ace of All Trades and UTXJG the Don with the Game Illuminaughty. Stay enlightened, gamers.